Okay, so I just made myself really small here on the side just to narrate what I've been doing on the actual video, the big one. And let's proceed. Right, so first tool I create that I used is the mobile repair kit tool. You can easily buy this on any online store. This particular one, I bought it from Amazon. Just make sure they do have the star bits screws, because the Razers, they use star bits on some of their screws. Next one is the air duster, very useful. Let me pause the video right there. If you don't have air duster, or if you can't afford it, or you want a cheaper alternative, you can use the manual air blower. You know, that one that you just pump with your hand and it will blow up air from the nozzle. The only downside on that one is it doesn't have the enough pressure to blow out the dust from within the fan. I'm gonna show you later, and also from the vent, so you may need to exert extra effort if you're gonna use the manual air blower. Next one is this soft bristle brush. Now, this is very useful for cleaning out the external parts of the laptop. Let's say the vents from the outside, and the edges, or some places that you can't really use the air duster on. I use that for cleaning up the cover, because it's just very light in terms of the dust buildup, and also on the keyboards or the vents from the outside. Very useful. Make sure you use the soft bristle brush, not the hard ones. Next one is the thermal compound. So you can buy any brand you want, but if you want this exact same brand that I used, just click the links below. That's an Amazon link if you want to buy that from Amazon. This one's really good. I only bought like 4 grams, that's 4G. Okay, thermal compound, or thermal paste, they call that thermal paste. Next one, Q-tips here for cleaning up the old thermal paste on the GPU and CPU. And right here is alcohol. Right, so we're gonna use alcohol to help us clean the old thermal paste that were applied on the GPU and the CPU. If you don't have alcohol, it's gonna be hard to clean up those old thermal paste. And do not use alcohols that have perfumes mixed on them or that are scented, and never use a gel-based alcohol. It's just gonna ruin probably your GPU or the whole motherboard. Okay. And also, if you notice, I'm wearing a gloves here. It's a latex glove. It's optional, but I just chose to use it because I don't want oil on my hands, or my hands get really sweaty sometimes. I don't want that moist to get on the motherboard. You could see here that's 70 ml. Is that 70 ml? Or I'm not sure about that formulation, but it's unscented. It doesn't have gel in it, so it's more of pure alcohol. Right, so this is my Razer Blade 15 2021 model laptop. So as you can see, I only had this for 2 years, so it's pretty new, not used too much, but the dust buildup on the fans are now quite noticeable even from the outside. So as you could see here, at this point you can use the soft bristle brush to brush off those the ventilation grills, to take off the dust from outside. But that's not really gonna help if you're just gonna do that. If you're not going to open the laptop and you're just trying to brush off the dust from the outside, it's not gonna help. More worse if you try to use an air duster or a pressurized air spray from this point. Like if you wanna try to take off the dust from outside and you try to spray from outside, it's just gonna blow off the dust from the fans and spread it within your laptop, and it will make things worse. Right, so I then proceed taking off the external screws. They are pretty visible, they are not covered. Some laptops have it covered with a rubber, or some with stickers, but with the Razer they are just exposed and you can see them easily. So there are 10 screws in total to take off that back plate or that back cover. Right, so I took my screwdriver here, and then they are star bits, by the way. So I picked star bit 5, that's a fluke, just one pick, and it actually fit. So no measurements at all, that's star bit 5. Right, so I'm gonna speed up the video on this part just to show you the process of taking it off. Right, I got that magnetic cardboard on the side for, securing the screws. That's very useful. Okay, so I'm now taking off the screws there. Right, so I noticed here when I took off that screw on the bottom left, it actually popped. The cover popped from the actual laptop, so it kind of opened. I don't know why it did that on the first place, but when I took off the cover, I saw the battery has a bit of bulge on it. I know it's a bad thing, but yeah, I'm gonna get it replaced very soon. Right, so if you saw that the cover, right, got off pretty easy, so that was really good. I wasn't expecting it to be that easy, because some laptops, when you take off the screws from the back or from the base, you still have to pry it on the edges in order just to take it off. But on the case of Razer, it just came off easily. Right, so there's very light dust accumulation on the back. I used the soft bristle brush to clean that, and all done. Now, as you could see here, let me just pause that. So there are two fans, left and right, and they are actually blowing air out. I think that's from the heat sinks going out to the back of the laptop, and there's quite buildup of dust on the fan blades, and that's the one that I would like to get rid of by cleaning this laptop internally. Okay, now this is the exciting part. Right, one sec. So as you could see, the battery on the bottom, there's quite a bulge. It's like, I don't know what happened to it, but yeah, I need that replaced pretty soon, because I think it's just gonna die on me. So yeah, just want to point it out. Okay, so there you go. Now these are the screws that you need to take off in order to remove the heatsink and the fans. The fans are actually separate from the heatsinks. I didn't think, I thought at first that they go all together. So as you can see, oh, I think I missed a red circle there. You can see my mouse pointer. That's another screw that you need to take off to get the heatsink off. Alright. So I proceed on taking off the screws. Those large screws that are holding the heatsinks, those 8 ones, are actually spring loaded. You don't have to take them off completely. So just make sure, just feel it when you're unscrewing it, that they actually are already unscrewed from the motherboard. So you're gonna feel that when you're unscrewing it, but don't take off the screws completely, because I'm not sure if that can be easily put back, or you still have to play around with the spring. Okay, so what I did here is I disconnected the battery first before unscrewing the heatsinks and the fans. That's best practice. You don't want for the chips or the motherboard to be short-circuited. So the battery connector, it's real big. You can see it straight away, and just pull it off. Alright. So with this one, I've used I think that's the cross one, 0 Phillips. Yep. Yeah, so just unscrew everything, all those ones with the red circle that I showed you earlier, plus the small one that I forgot to, yeah, that one. So just be careful on putting the screws aside, because there are longer screws and there are short ones. So short ones, they are the ones that are holding the fans in the bottom part. Alright? Oh, they're actually long. Not the bottom part, but the side one. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so yeah, so at this point I tried lifting the heatsinks, but yeah, I felt resistance on it, so I actually moved to the fan, take it off first, but at this point I already knew that they are not connected at any point. So the fans are connected to the motherboard. You have to disconnect it first, but this one's quite tricky because they're very small connectors. They are pin connectors, and they are really hard to unplug or to take off. So I tried using tweezers here, didn't work. I tried the prior as well, but the only way that worked is actually applying a bit of force, pulling it, holding from the cable. Alright. It's quite scary, but that's the only way I was able to take it off. So as you can see, yeah, I tried everything. I tried the safe methods first, but yeah, didn't work. So what I did with that one is, again, pulling the cable out with a bit of force, and it came off. Alright, so I proceed with the heatsinks here. I still felt a bit of resistance in there. Made sure the the screws were actually unscrewed from the motherboard. But what I realized there is that the heat sinks are actually still stick to the chips because of the thermal paste, and there were actually thermal pads in it. So there you go. And see the dust accumulation in that part. Just get that back 10 seconds. Yep, so you see that it's pretty much accumulated dust in the vents, which does affect the workflow and the heat dissipation capability of this heatsink, especially that one. Right, so this is one of my regret here, because I forgot to buy the thermal pads when I did this video. Or yeah, and as you can see, the thermal paste, the factory applied thermal paste, is still fresh. They're still moist, because the one thing that you know that the thermal paste is already bad is it's already dried up. So that means it's not really helping on dissipating the heat from the GPU and the CPU. But this one, it's still pretty fresh, so kind of regretted on taking off the heatsink here. But the only way you can clean the vents of the heatsink is by actually taking it off. So this is where I use the air duster. I did it off the camera. I have sprayed the air duster onto the vents just to blow off the dust. Do not do it when the heatsinks are attached into the laptop, because they're just gonna spread out the dust within the internals of the laptop. Alright, so as you could see, the GPU and the CPU there. GPU is the big one, the squared one. That's the NVIDIA GPU. That's I think that's 3070 RTX, and the rectangle one is the CPU. And so I used the soft bristle brush here just to clean off the edges. Go. Right, so this point I have to remove the old thermal paste. So this is where I used my Q-tips and alcohol. So alcohol won't hurt your chips, they dry up easily. Don't use water, please, no, just alcohol. If you don't have Q-tips, you can use cottons, or you can use a clean cloth to clean it. There you go, shiny. So that's the CPU clean, and I did the GPU next. Right, GPU was a bit tricky because around that main chip, the metal one, the square one, are very small pins where the existing thermal paste got into it. So I couldn't actually clean it. I was tempted on using a brush, like a medium hard bristle brush, but I didn't have one at the time, so I was actually thinking a toothbrush, but yeah, I did not bother, because important thing is you clean up the main part of the chip, which is that metal one, the square metal. Alright, so I was happy with that one. Don't cancel me on this. So there's still a bit of thermal paste on the sides, but I was happy with that one. So cool. Alright, so all cleaned up, heatsinks clean. Yeah, there were still thermal paste there, but I had to clean it with a cloth as well and alcohol. And I've dusted the vents. You see that bit of dust there? I saw that I took it off before putting back the heat sinks. Right, and then I proceed cleaning off the fans. So the fans, make sure you actually check or actually take note which one was on the left, which is on the right, because they're quite identical. Yeah, so I cleaned up the fans off the camera, and I used the air duster, the pressurized air can or air spray, along with a soft bristle brush just to clean them off properly. Now, on this point, I'm putting back the new thermal paste, and there you go. Best practice here is that you have to spread the thermal paste evenly on that metal part of the chip. I did not do it here. Sorry about that. I forgot to do it. But you have to just put the right amount of thermal paste. If you put less than the optimal amount, there's a high chance that your GPU or CPU will overheat. And if you put too much, and that will just not, make the heat dissipation properties be more efficient. So just put the right amount, pea size, and just spread it evenly on your GPU and CPU metal chips. Alright, so when I put back the heat sinks, I had to apply a bit of force on it, so it kind of plastered the thermal paste on the GPU and the CPU, so it kind of spreads the thermal paste. Now I'm putting back the screws. So this is the drilling part, then the fans. Yep, pretty straightforward, as long as you know where the small screws went, or where the small screws go. And don't forget the connectors from the fan to the motherboard. Another tip here is to put back the cables where they was. If they were clipped into something, just put it back. They're probably been done for a reason. So yeah, there you go. So that's pretty much all done. I put back the battery connection. I had a bit of accident there. My prior tool kind of slipped and kind of scratched the motherboard. I thought I actually broke it, but fortunately it didn't. Right, now I put back the back cover. Easiest part. Yeah, straightforward. No explanation required. As you could see as well on my gloves, I got a bit of thermal paste, ended up spreading into the back plates, into the back cover. I had to clean it off. There you go. Right, now moment of truth. Power on. And I see the Razer logo. I was happy, but I need to wait until it boots up. There you go. Cool. So all boot up. I did some tests, but I did not record it. Actually, at first the fans were not actually, they're not running when I powered on the laptop. And I was actually, so the fans were not actually running when I powered on the laptop. But then I realized that when I powered it on, the GPUs or the CPU are still not in that temperature where the fans are needed. So I actually checked it by going to Task Manager, check the GPU temp. It was in 40 degrees, but when I started spinning up, or when I started opening up my games and my applications, it started spinning. So I was relieved that time. And yeah, so all is working. The optimal temperature that the NVIDIA is saying for their GPUs is between 70 degrees to 85 degrees. That's the optimal operating temperature. But after I did this cleanup, I don't reach 70 degrees. I average at 65 to 7, yeah, 65 to 75, depending on what I'm doing. I play Dota 2. I use Adobe Premiere Pro, and when I'm using those applications, I average into 70 to 75, right? That's after I cleaned up the GPU, but before cleaning that up, I average from 70 to 85 degrees, and you could really hear the fans spinning really fast and hard, and it just got me to think that because of those dusts that are accumulated, it's not doing the heat dissipation properly. But now it's pretty quiet now, and my temperature range is now 60 to 75, which is very good. Right, so thank you for watching. Please subscribe and like.